right, hey, welcome to 2026 RampUp, and thank you. I recognize it's a really busy year for so many of us, and I appreciate you carving time out for this and for one another. This is always like one of my favorite weeks of the year because so many of you I've known for decades, so many of you are friends, and this is a chance for us to collaborate, to share ideas, to move forward together, and also have a little bit of fun. But all that said, I actually can't remember a RampUp in history where more of our attendees have voiced anxiety and questions than this year. Things like, how do I navigate the changing world of AI? How can I ensure that my business survives and even thrives? How can LiveRamp or the other folks in this room help me win? And for maybe some of you, my daughter's in the audience, she may be thinking, like, why did Scott choose that awful walkout song? Huey Lewis. And these are all good questions. So as we always do, we will find the answers together. But maybe we'll start with the easiest question first, which is why that walkout song? And let me answer that question with a question of my own, which is, if I show these following 4 movies, do you know what the common denominator of those movies are? Up in the upper left is The Time Machine, released in 1960. Rod Taylor travels through time, saves the world. Upper right, you know that. That's Back to the Future. Backwards in times, forward in times, something that looks like a cyber Tesla thing. Lower left, Harry Potter, Prisoner of Azkaban, which is notable because Hermione has that nifty device that allows her to, well, you know what the answer is, because the lower right is, of course, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, where Bill and Ted are excellent to one another and travel through time in a telephone booth. And so the common theme of all 4 of these movies, and indeed the walkout song, was time travel, right? It's time travel. And that's really the theme of everything I'm going to share with you today. You thought I was going to talk about advertising? No, I'm going to talk about time travel. And rather than talk at you today, I would like to invite you to go on a journey with me. A journey through time where we can reflect on the lessons of history and how those lessons of the past apply to what I hope is going to be a much brighter future. So, is everyone up for that? Yeah? All right? Yeah? Now, one last thing. Like we always try to do at LiveRamp, we've tried to distill complexity into simplicity. So rather than like build a car or put a hot tub on the stage or like travel through a phone booth, we have simplified the art of time travel into this one green button on the pillar. Okay, so every time I press this button, we're gonna travel through time. So is everybody ready to like go on a journey? Yeah? Yeah? No, we're not ready. And I say that because, as you know, every great time traveler story, it has to start in the present. You have to ground it in the present. So let's start in the here and now. All of Hollywood is freaking out right now. This is a 15-second clip from last week. Must have been super high budget because Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt are fighting together. But of course, we know it cost no budget. It was a 2-sentence prompt in AI to build this. Hollywood's freaking out. The intellectual class is freaking out because of this guy. This is the Anthropic CEO. And every time he speaks, he says something provocative like, AI will test who we are as a species. Or maybe AI is an extinction event. Stuff like that. And because he's saying that, Wall Street's freaking out. So over the last few months, the software index is down 30% as investors weigh whether any of us in this room will survive. And you know who's really freaking out? Probably all of us, because we earn paychecks. And in January, it was reported that 108,000 US jobs have already been eliminated due to AI. And this is before Jack Dorsey announced last week that Square was going to cut another 4,000. The World Economic Forum projects that 92 million jobs will be displaced globally over the next 4 years. Well, that's fun. So welcome to the AI era, right? And it feels like these past couple years, AI has been the ultimate disruptor. And no doubt the disruption is immense, and no doubt we're all justified in feeling a little bit anxious, and there's a lot of uncertainty. Since last RampUp, in fact, I bet a lot of you have asked yourselves questions like, where are we going? Are we in the right path? Do we have the right strategies and tools to succeed? And those are the right questions to be asking. But I'm really glad that we're here together because I know where we're going to find the answers by collecting this network of amazing people and great opinions. It's going to give us the best shot at capitalizing on the AI opportunity before us. And I will tell you, I don't feel that anxious because I know that AI powered by data and data collaboration is going to give us a tremendous advantage. Those that are smartest are going to win. We're going to move faster, and we will win while others are disrupted. In fact, I would say that the only way to win through AI is by being smarter and moving faster and doing data collaboration. And so while the uncertainty and the disruption runs deep, the more I think about it, it's like, why is this different than any other time in our industry? And I mean, I've lived the industry, and so if I just think about the last 30 years, have we ever not been in a period of disruption? Because, in the 1990s, the internet was invented, and that changed everything about marketing. Until, of course, 5 to 10 years later, when search was invented, and that changed everything, again, about digital marketing. And then ad networks changed everything about how do we reach an audience using personalization, and then programmatic changed how we buy. And then social media came out, and then Mark Zuckerberg talked about mobile first and everything, and then CTV started to become a really big thing during COVID, and there's been a ton of privacy regulations, and oh, by the way, now AI and data collaboration. It's like every 5 years there's a ton of disruption, and what can we learn from this timeline? Well, we're all here. We're still here. And throughout those periods, we've seen the same things over and over and over again, that the companies who embrace the change and they innovate, those companies win. And the folks that don't, that cling to the old way, are left behind. And I will tell you, this is just 30 years. I mean, what if we take a longer slice back in history? Let's go on a time journey. So this time, are we ready? Like, should we hit the button and see what happens? All right, I don't know. All right, here we go. Look at that. That is time travel, huh? We are all the way back in time. We are 2,000 years ago. We are walking the Silk Road together. And as you know about the Silk Road, it was a trade route that connected East Asia to the Mediterranean Sea. And it profoundly changed the course of human history. And here's the thing about the Silk Road. It wasn't really a road at all. It was more of a network of trade routes. And make no mistake, there was a lot more than just goods being traded along the Silk Road. In fact, the Silk Road was an informational network. The most valuable exports of the Silk Road were knowledge and information, things like mathematics and astronomy, agricultural techniques, navigation methods, intelligence about which routes were safe and which cities had major disease, which ones were hostile. And these shared insights across the network created mutual benefit, and it created a stronger network that won together. And if that sounds familiar, it should, because what happened 2,000 years ago on the Silk Road, I would say is happening here. So let's come back to the present here for a second. I'm going to make a crazy comparison, and I will tell you Dick's Sporting Goods is the modern-day epitome of the Silk Road. Dick's Sporting Goods, they have one of the richest first-party data sets in sports retail. They have 45 million athletes and families. They have over 600 attributes, and that represents over 2 billion touch points across the entire customer journey, stores, digital, real-time world performance, athletic performance. But the unlock for companies like Dick's doesn't come from simply having more data. More data in itself isn't good. It's the fact that they collaborate with their partners to extract the value from it. And so the merchants on their shelves, those brands can see attribution across the entire athletic journey, from the first point of interest to the actual point of athletic performance, and they can act on it. And I could have thrown a zillion stats at you, but I'll just give you one. Under Armour just finished a campaign, and they collaborated with Dick's and Roku. They reached nearly 3 million athletes, and for that effort, they had a $4.18 return on their ad spend. It was data collaboration, it was measurement back, and all of it was protected with clean rooms such that the data wasn't misappropriated. And so just as the Silk Road wasn't about trade, the best commerce media networks aren't about slinging more media. It's so much more. It is so much more. It's about data. It is about media. It's about audience extension. It's about measurement. It's about insight. And it is about making customers' lives better. It's better performance. And so together, we're going to move faster. We're going to achieve more together. Insights drive progress. All right. Want another example from history? Because, I mean, the button's here, so all right, here we go. All right, this time we're only going back a couple hundred years. We're going back to the 1800s, when the United States railroad system was being built. And here's your random fact for the day. Did you know that in the early 1800s, every town in America kept its own local solar time? So when the sun was in the highest point in the sky, that was noon. And so let's think about that. There was a different time in every city in the early 1800s. And you can imagine the chaos that ensued because of that, right? I mean, it led to collisions and deaths on the railroad, not to mention just unworkable scheduling challenges. So in 1881, a guy named William Allen, he suggested that the railroad industry standardize a concept called time zones. And so if you were wondering where the Pacific time zone, the Mountain time zone, the Eastern Standard Time, it all came from the railroads. And they didn't stop there because they standardized time zones, but they also standardized the width of the tracks. Because before then, every state had different width tracks. And as soon as all the railroads used the same size, you could travel anywhere. And so the explosion in interstate commerce, the explosion in progress, all ensued. And scale and standardization, it fuels insights. And just as it did in the 1880s in the railroad industry, so it does again for us today. So let's come back to the present. And I'll give you another example. Publicis Group is no different than the railroads. Now, Publicis is a great agency, and I know this by the company they keep. Coca-Cola, Mars, Keurig, Ben & Jerry's, Advil, I mean, the best brands in the world decide to work with Publicis. And together, those brands, they have this enormous opportunity to turn their data into growth. But to do that, they need to collaborate with retailers to extract consumer insights along the way. But like the railroads, the complexity in this continues to be kind of overwhelming. Every brand is used to seeing things in their own unique way, and every retailer is used to seeing things in their own unique way. But we can solve this problem, just like the railroads did. We can solve this problem through smart technology integration, simplification, and some standardization. And so earlier this quarter, Publicis announced a strategic partnership with us at LiveRamp. and it combines their AI capabilities and their data assets with our collaborative data platform, our technology. It allows advertisers to connect and analyze their information across all systems without moving it. So they can combine their first-party data with second or third-party data. They can take measurement, feed it into their AI models, and refine campaigns over time, and all this while maintaining full control over privacy. The collaboration like this makes insights, activation, measurement, performance just easier. And so, lesson here is I would tell you that we hope that this is a blueprint that a whole bunch of other folks in the room will decide to follow. As I think about the evolution of LiveRamp, we have built our technology to be composable and flexible. And so if you have a great idea, then talk to us about it so you can build on top of our platform, you can build around your platform, and you can realize your ambitions much more easily and much more effectively. All right, one last jump in time. We're gonna go back once again. All right, green button here, bam. This time we're gonna go back just 25, 30 years ago to when the global positioning system was developed. And prior to that time, none of us had ever really heard about GPS. And why is that? It's because it wasn't built for us. It was built for the military. And GPS, I mean, here's how it works. You shoot a bunch of satellites into the sky, and then with a receiver on the ground, I can triangulate across the different satellites, and I can figure exactly where I am on the map, right? And so it allows anyone to know where they are. Great location guidance. But the accuracy up to 30 years ago for civilians, it wasn't introduced or it was degraded, and that slowed the pace of innovation. And in the year 2000, the restriction was finally removed. And all of a sudden, innovation skyrocketed. It started with Garmin. We had those devices in our rental cars. Some of us did geocaching for fun. Logistics became dramatically more efficient. Mobile commerce started to take off. Ride sharing all of a sudden became possible, and location-based advertising emerged. And so GPS all of a sudden transformed the world because all of a sudden the technology was made accessible, available, and it was simplified. And simplification was the name of the game there. Simplification breeds innovation. And it's the same in the AI era, that if we can simplify things, we're gonna unlock better scalability, more insights, and more impact. So let's head back to 2026 for another example. And here I'll just give you Google. So all of us have used Google to buy stuff for a long time. But as 12 of you in the room know, Google has also launched Google AI Shopping. And so a number of you, a handful of you are actually testing this out. It's pretty cool. If I wanna shop for a carry-on bag, instead of doing search, I just use the agent. I get a structured answer, I get visuals, I get comparisons, I get reviews, and I can actually just purchase the bag right there. And so behind this, obviously, is just this massive array of data. And the answers of the consumer experience is only as good as that data underneath. But this is a game changer because it simplifies things for consumers. And my guess is this is gonna unlock a lot of innovation. And so, use this as an example of what we'll preview here in a second. There's a lot of AI applications out there, and we encourage you to start testing them in a small, structured way such that you can scale them before the rest of the world discovers these opportunities. All right. We've covered 2,000 years of collaboration and growth, literally in 10 minutes. And I could have chosen so many different moments in history and made the same points because the patterns keep repeating over and over and over again. It was true 2,000 years ago on the Silk Road, it was true in the railroads, and it's true again today, that insights always drive progress, more scale generates more insights, And if you make things simple, it's easier to scale. If you make things simple, it's easier to scale. More scale drives more insights. And the folks who have the most insights make the most progress, and they win. It is a virtuous cycle. We have seen it before, and it is true in the AI era as well. We know the roadmap for success. AI creates advantage when it's powered by collaboration, connected data, shared insights, and a network of partners that help you capture a unique opportunity. And so I talk about this concept of network a lot. I'm talking about it right now, but I talk about it a lot in the press. I talk a lot with clients. And what do I mean by the network? I'm talking about us. I'm talking about all of us in the room because together we have the ingredients required to win. And you know, am I an optimist about technology? Of course I am, because I've spent the last 3 decades of my life in it. But it's also because I've seen it, that time and time again, those who have embraced the changing technology, those who have collaborated, those who have pushed for the insights, they have emerged as the winners. And I will tell you, no matter how anxious we are, this is a room of winners. We are together a network of more than 900 partners, brands, publishers, platforms, agencies that can help deliver exceptional experiences to customers. Collectively, we have what is necessary to really win big in the AI era. But I will also say there are a few things that we need to do to ensure our success. And so in the back half here, I'm going to talk about, you know, what I think each of you should do to ensure that you are prepared for success. Think about it as a packing list for the glorious future. But I also want to spend some time talking about what we're going to do at LiveRamp to equip you for that journey. And so to help me do that, I'm going to bring out Matt Karasick. Matt is the Chief Product Officer at LiveRamp, and he's going to give us a quick demo. So welcome to the stage. Hey, Matt, you want to come out and join us? All right, this is Matt Karasick. All right, so Matt, everyone's talking about agentic marketing, AI. Why don't we start with the basics? What do you mean when you talk about agentic marketing?
Yeah, listen, for all of the decades that data-driven marketing has been going on, and I'll date myself that I've seen it quite a bit. You know, we've evolved quite a bit, but in general, there's a framework that always happens, right? You have your strategy team saying, here are our goals, and here's how we'll spend money. You have a big analyst team who will then crunch numbers and run, 47 reports sliced 63 ways to try and extract here's what we can do, here's what we can change to make things better. Then hand that over to the ad ops team to click and raise your frequency, lower your bid, et cetera, et cetera. What we're talking about here is having teams of agents be able to supercharge those teams, put them all on steroids. And so instead of running 300 reports and 63 cuts, multiply that by 100. You now can analyze far more data. And that ad ops team who's going to go and make all those changes, we're going to give them each 400 more arms and 27 more mice to be able to click and make all these changes. And so all of this cycle that we've always done, it just supercharges.
All right, so what you're saying is instead of being anxious about AI, you're turning us into superheroes.
That's right.
All right. That sounds good. Can you show us?
Absolutely. Let me show you. All right. Let's queue up this demo.
There we go.
And so a really good example here is if I am a brand, I love the rise of retail media. Retail media is steeped in having the best data out there, right? What people purchase, what other products they buy has always been the best predictor of what other products they might be interested in. And the ability to then run ads and be able to see what happened in my retail partner stores has that closed loop nature. But as this has risen in huge amounts, if I'm a brand, how am I supposed to do this across 2, 3, 5, 10, 20 retail media networks? And so here, This is a demo of a set of agents being able to help me scale across a bunch of retail media networks.
All right.
And so here I get to say...
Yeah, can we make this a little bit bigger? And let's just see what the query is. So you preloaded this query, and this is kind of representative. In this case, this is for manufacturer Diet Cola, but they're underperforming with sales with kind of light buyers. And so you're asking, like, recommend some optimizations. What should I do?
That's right. This campaign, it's doing well with the people it always does well with, but this is meant to be an acquisition campaign. I'm trying to gain market share. And so I said, hey, can you help me look at this? Here it says, all right, I see these 3 campaigns running. I see my joint business plan summary that you've given me for context. Is this what you want me to analyze? Yes, it is. And so it's going to, this orchestration agent is going to then call upon an insights agent who's going to go and take a look at all.
All right, and this is, like, to be clear, this is a live demo.
Yeah, absolutely. A demo sample data, but these are agents running against MCP servers that are pointed at the actual APIs of our platform.
All right, so instead of like typing in a bunch of stuff, you're just asking natural language questions. And it's showing you kind of step by step, like what the thought process is, right?
That's right. For all of us following along on AI, you'll hear these words, human in the loop, and that is key here. You all have the insights of what to do with this data. Again, these are just supercharging our capabilities and being able to just increase our capacity. And so here, this insights agent has gone in and looked at all these insights that each of these retail media networks have made available via clean rooms, and it's come up with some segmentation ideas for me. And I'll say, great, let's create these segments. And you'll see here that there is a handoff. That insights agent has taken that context that it's learned and handed over to a segmentation agent. And
so something that would have taken weeks is now taking literally the time that you've been on stage.
That's right. And so it's going and creating these segments. And so here I take a look and I say, listen, this is great, but I'm trying to gain market share.
Yeah, these look like, these are small segments. This is going to matter to someone who's selling soft drinks worldwide.
So let's go ahead and call my lookalike agent. And here you can see, and this is an important piece here, I have a few different lookalike models I can use, because the more I show you that we've built some demo reference agents, more importantly, our platform is available for builders to go and build and orchestrate their own. So here you have an example of a partner, Chalice, who's built their models on top of our platform. In this case, I'll go with the default, and it's going to call this lookalike agent who's going to go and build these lookalikes.
So anyone in this room who wants to build on top of our APIs, that's available.
That's right. That's right. And so here I get my precision versus scale trade-off. I'll go and make my selections here, and it's going to create these segments for me, and it's going to build these lookalikes. It's also going to be reading my segmentation.md file that has the context that knows I don't do anything if I don't create testing controls. I want to measure everything. So it already had that context. It created my control groups for me. And now I'll go ahead and say, now go ahead and activate these segments to the existing campaigns that are running now.
So one button activation.
That's right. Listen, we've had our activation API available for a very, very long time. Historically, that meant you needed to bring a team of software engineers to build a system. AI is drastically lowering the bar of who can be a builder and how easy it is to build these things.
So this is awesome, and I love it. And I think I've grown up in this world. I know how clumsy the tools that we've used. This makes everything a lot easier. This doesn't make me scared about AI. It actually makes me pretty excited about what I can do. But I mean, here's the one thing I know about you, Matt. Like, you didn't just come out to show us this demo. There's got to be more.
There might be another thing or two for sure. So let's click ahead and take a look. So one of the most important things, again, I just showed you a demo of some reference agent examples that we've built, but more importantly, it is going to be agents that the entire ecosystem is going to build, which means, and you saw each of these agents is very specialized, which means we're going to have agents negotiating with each other, right? If one company says, here are my rules about what can and can't happen with my data models or code, and another agent says, this is what I want to do, they're going to have to be able to negotiate unless we have to call in, attorneys and contracts and all of this. And so in order for these negotiations to occur, we're going to have industry standards really emerge this year in a way that really unlocks the industry to be able to collaborate in this way.
that's awesome, but you use like 1/3 of the slide, so you got something else.
Yep. Let's get to the second one. LiveRamp's data marketplace has always been a fantastic asset to our customers and our partners. But the predominant use cases has always been, hey, can I get segments to reach new audiences I've never had for acquisition? Or can I go and append and enrich my own data? I think this is the year that you're going to see the predominant use case shift. No longer will people just be licensing lists of users that they want to activate against, but we'll be starting to use this data in the marketplace to build models, to train models. Instead of licensing just data, people will license models and license applications that are built on these models.
So model marketplace, all right. But here's the thing, I'm looking out at the crowd. I see John Hochter there, I see David Cohen. They're like leaning forward, they're saying, but wait a minute, he still only used 2/3 of the slide. What is the one more thing? Because there's clearly one more thing. That's how you think.
Well, there's one more bucket of things. I just can't quite explain what it is. The fact of the matter is that we have made our platform available for builders. And AI in general is lowering the bar of who can be a builder. And so much more importantly, we don't know what it is because it's what you all are going to do. You mentioned John Proctor and Newton. That's a great example. Make sure to go check out their demo. They've built agents on top of our cross-media intelligence clean rooms that help customers take the insights that they can get from cross-media measurement and figure out and create blueprints of what they can go do next. And I can only wait to imagine over the course of this year and beyond what you all are going to do on top of this platform and in the ecosystem.
So this is a big deal because historically, if you've worked with LiveRamp, you've been kind of captive to our technology. But what we're saying here is no. You should be liberated by this technology because you can build whatever you want on top of these APIs. So have at it. Whatever you dream up, have a conversation with us and let's make it happen. So Matt, that's cool. This is Matt Karasick. Find him over the next couple days. Tell him what you want to do and we'll do it together. Thank you, Matt. That's really cool. That guy is really smart, and I literally do think you all need to talk to him because he can like get stuff done. All right, like I know you're a little bit exhausted. You're like probably head spinning. You're like, it's early, this time travel, like the witty banter, it didn't make up. I'm just confused. Like, so what's next? I mean, bring us home, Scott. And so I mentioned earlier that, hey, to prepare for the future ahead, this glorious AI future, because I'm not scared by it. I'm excited by it. I do think, you know, along with the technology, the empowerment that we just talked about, like, I want to make sure that all of us in the room are doing some of the things that we're seeing really successful companies do. And so I've created a packing list. And you know what Matt didn't say? If you go up to the RampUp app, there's a ton of content around our product direction, ideas, so download it, have a look at it. It's really cool. The other thing that's really cool is RampUps, that's later today. Go pet dogs, it's fun. All right. So what is our packing list when we race into the AI era and beyond? 5 things, really quickly. I'm gonna encourage you to collaborate everywhere, and I'm gonna unpack that in a second. I want everyone to think about measuring everything back because we're in a race for signals. It's not just your data, it's the data that you're getting back that's gonna matter so much in the world ahead. Third, obviously, like explore AI, don't fear it. There's a lot of really cool stuff that we can make available to you in a very safe way. Fourth, and this is about safety, this is the most important thing you're gonna say, maintain control. Don't allow yourself to be disintermediated again. And then finally, we'll talk a little bit about focus. And so this is gonna be a speed round because I don't have much time, but I'm gonna hit some highlights. And so first off, let's just talk about collaborating everywhere. Our most sophisticated clients, I shared this stat last year, you know, we have financial services clients who are activated on 240, 250 different destinations, and they are like incredibly successful. One of the biggest card marketers, most successful in the world. But the vast majority of you, although you're using LiveRamp's technology, are only activating on a fraction of the available sites. And so we thought it would be fun to once again create a list of here's who we think that everybody should be activated on. And it's not an exhaustive list, but like call this the Nifty 50. And the Nifty 50 is divided into a whole bunch of open web properties that together give you like all the reach that you'd ever want. We have a handful of, let's just keep building it here, MarTech partners. We have a number of the most important CTV providers, all of which are activation-ready destinations. And then, of course, we have all the major social media and search platforms. Together, those dots are 50. Just trust me on that. And I would tell you that most of you are not activating on all of them, even though there is really great reach across these. You might actually be advertising in all these things on your media plan, but you're not using your data there. And that's a real mistake. And let me give you 3 examples. So Netflix. I mean, I love Netflix. They're an amazing partner. Love working with them. They are so collaborative. They're so creative. And they have so much reach. They reach over a third of households that have activated advertising-based Netflix, right? So a third, yet only 7% of folks in this room are actually activating on Netflix. And so my question to you is why? We got Nicole Pangus, John Whitcomb, like the 2 senior leaders from Netflix. They are here. Nicole's going to be on stage in a few minutes. Find them and talk about what you could do, because all of you should be doing something with Netflix. I mean, they're just a great partner. Google, earlier, I mentioned, their cumulative reach over 80%, but for AI shopping, only 2% of the folks in this room are experimenting with it. A really easy one to get smart. Or Amazon. I mean, God, their reach must be 100%. I put it at 80% plus, but you know, everybody is touched by Amazon, but only a third of the folks in this room are activating data on Amazon. And I understand why someone might not want to, because they see them as a competitor, but most of you don't see them as a competitor. And so, like, I would just encourage you to experiment. And so here's the call to action. I mean, you can look at this list and you can say, well, which ones of these am I doing? Better still, let us do the work for you. So with your permission, over the next month, anybody who wants it will come do and just do a data audit of you and say, here are the destinations that you're not activating that we think make a lot of sense. We can reverse engineer your current audience and tell you what the reach is. And I don't care where you go. Like, I mean, we're neutral. I don't care if you do this one or not this one and this one and not this one. But what I do care about is I desperately want all of you to succeed. So in the words of Jerry Maguire, help us help you. Like, this is like a simple thing we can do for you. What you do with it is up to you, but just let us do it and give you some ideas about, hey, given your subscription, where else can you activate that might make a lot of sense? The second thing is measure everything. And this is a kind of weird, ugly slide. But like if you're activating on all these destinations, and if you're activating with all 50 of the 50 Nifty destinations I just talked about, hey, congratulations. You are incredibly successful. You're very sophisticated. And you are putting out powerful signal into the ecosystem, and it's driving better results. But you know what you're not necessarily doing is bringing signal back. And so if you're marketing to all these different destinations, why wouldn't you want to bring them a measurement signal back? And I literally cannot understand why everyone in the room hasn't chosen to do this. Those that do, here's some stats, 80% of their paid media budget, their finding is measurable. They are on average achieving a 25% increase in ROI. And in the CPG category, they are on average, for the things that they measure, getting a 40% increase in CPG sales. And I know it's a little bit complicated. I know it may be displacing someone, but you're already a LiveRamp customer, and so test this with us because it it just makes sense from a performance perspective, but it's so much bigger than that because it's not just about measurement performance, it's about bringing that signal back. And the AI world is a war for signals. And so if you're not bringing those signals back, then you're not baking it into your optimization, you can't possibly be making the best decision. So here's my call to action on this. Like, if you're not using XMI with us, cross-media insights, let's have a conversation. Talk to whoever you work with at LiveRamp and tell them, like, this is what I hate about it. It's too expensive or it's too complicated, and let us fix that for you. Like, you gotta do this because if you don't do it, you won't win. So I just want you to be prepared for the future. All right, home stretch. This is the Collaborate Everywhere slide that I presented earlier, and you'll notice in the lower right corner, there is a blank space. And that was by design because, you know, the world of activation partners is always growing. And so good news, you could go out and test a gazillion different AI application partners yourself, or you could just do it the same way, the same safe way that you already activate other destinations. So that bottom right corner, that's devoted to AI partners. And we got a ton of them. We got over 20 of them live right now. The way we think about it is we divide the world of AI into 6 distinct work streams. So you have things like search, where traditional search is being disrupted by AI search. So, you know, I gave Google as an example. You can imagine that as the LLMs develop their own ad-based products, we're going to make those available to you to activate. Conversational tools, Dappier, for instance, they can sit on a publisher website, and when you're looking for content, you have questions, you can just go and use that chatbot powered by your own data. It's a great product, and it is an activation partner for LiveRamp. Creative, if you're trying to do dynamic creative, measurement, or even agentic trading tools like a Scope 3 or a Scout. You know, a big chunk of them are greenfield native applications. Another group of them are companies that you've heard of that are developing AI applications to replace how you've traditionally worked with them. So all of that is available. My call to action for you, if this is the first time you're seeing it, ask whoever you're working with at LiveRamp, hey, over the next month, let's develop an AI map. Let's develop the list of partnerships that we could explore and start doing it one by one and seeing what works, what makes sense. And there's no common recipe. All of you are trying to do different things. So all of you will want to work with different partners. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say, hey, we got 20-some today. A year from now, I'd be really disappointed. I'm looking at you, Matthew Hogg, over there, that, you know, we don't integrate with a couple hundred different AI partners. So that's your goal now. Couple hundred. And if it's not on the list, tell us who it is, and we'll go make sure we prioritize those integrations for you. All right. This gets us to our next slide. This is an ugly slide, but it's probably the most important slide I'm going to talk about. And on this, I'm going to explain how every model, data model in the history of models works. And it all works, the x-axis here is data scale, and the y-axis is lift. And so whenever you start to look at data patterns, it looks like an S-curve. Because if you have just a few pieces of data, you don't get much predictive power. But then when you get to a sufficiency, you see this tremendous increase in lift. But then you eventually get to a point, it's like classic S-curve, where an incremental piece of data doesn't matter because you've already seen something like it before. And so then you start to flatline. And guess what? This sector down here, these are publicly available signals. And as Satya says over there, but everyone knows, not just Satya, like LLMs are all trained on the same stuff. And so those models, those AI models, they're all being commoditized because there's no more data. But there is more data. And it's not the stuff in the public domain. It's the stuff that each of you has. And so if you layer your own unique proprietary data on top, a new signal set, you start a whole new series of S-curves. And all of a sudden, you jump up. And so how do you game the system here? How do you win in the world of AI? You collaborate, because as you start to stack those unique data signals, you reach a higher and higher level of the curve. And why I think this is an important slide is because this gives me a chance to talk about human nature. I believe in the goodness of people. I think left to all other things, people will act in the greater good interest, except when they act in their own self-interest. We're here in downtown San Francisco. This isn't a great neighborhood. And if I park my car on the streets of San Francisco and I leave something valuable on the car seat tonight, guess what? Tomorrow morning, the windows are going to be smashed and my stuff is going to be stolen. And do I blame the people who took it? Not really. Like, it was there inviting to be stolen. And here in San Francisco, here's the irony. Like, it's not even a crime. In fact, I think we celebrate it. A couple years ago, this is a true story. A couple years ago, people started leaving notes on their windshield in their cars in San Francisco saying, "No valuable stuff, please don't steal." And then lo and behold, someone walked out, it was in the paper, and all 4 of their car windows were smashed, and someone had written on the bottom of the note, "Get some stuff I can steal." And I share this story. This is the cringe moment for David Cohen, because we got a group of publishers who are like saying, "Hey, 50% plus of my traffic isn't human anymore. And some of these guys are scraping my site, they're stealing my content, and I don't feel like I'm getting fair compensation for that." And that's content. So if that's happening in content, guess what happens in data? Right? I mean, here's what's going to happen. I'll tell you what's going to happen. People are going to say, "Hey, share your data with me. We're in this together. It's only for you. You'll get an enterprise thing just for you." And then the conversation changes to, well, it's actually our data, because the results of the model, it's what you put in, and it's also what I saw as well. And so we own the data together. And you know where that journey ends? It ends with you being disintermediated again. Because in an AI world, data is power, and those that control the data will win, and those that do not will be captive to the model. And so I believe in goodness, but I do not believe in empty promises. And so what I would say is control always trumps contracts, and I don't care how complicated you think it is now. Lean in, and if you're going to do AI, use a clean room. Use a clean room and protect your stuff. It's why you lock your car and put your valuables in the trunk. Use a clean room and protect your data, because that's the only way you win in the AI world. Like, the only way you get to the top of the curve is to make sure your stuff stays your stuff and that you continue to have control over it. All right, I got fired up there. Whew. All right, last thing, and I'm out of time here. Here I am talking about time, and I'm out of time. There are so many things coming at us, so many things that we can do, so many priorities, so many destinations we can activate. And so how should we think about deciding, like, what to prioritize? And my suggestion to you is this: don't prioritize the next dollar, prioritize the customer experience. And in particular, I'd like you to think about 2 things. Number 1 is, what are your client, your customers' moments of delight? It's like me going to Netflix and seeing, like, these are the next 5 shows that you want to watch. And they are so good at that now. Netflix is so smart. That's a moment of delight. How do we create more of those? Or how do we fix the moments of despair? I have been online trying to get service for an hour. Like, could you design something that makes it much easier to get information, or shortens my purchase journey, or allows me to buy something better? And if you focus on those moments of delight and moments of despair as you prioritize all the activations and all the AI possibilities, I think you're gonna win. And so here's my homework for you. And literally, you can do this anytime as long as it's in the next 10 minutes. Each of you has a name badge. And at some point, I'd like you to just take out your name badge and just on the back of it, where no one else but you can see it, you can unfold it and do it on the inside, whatever. Just write down, what is the biggest problem that you would love to solve as a company? Shouldn't take that long. You all know what your biggest problem is. It's all unique to each of you. And here's my challenge to everyone here, because over the next couple days, we're gonna spend a lot of time together. And so, when you go up and you meet someone for the first time, here's the conversation I want you to have. I want you to say, what's your biggest challenge or opportunity? And I want them to ask the same thing to you. Because if I know nothing else from ramp-ups of past, it's those serendipitous connections and the exchange of ideas to solve the biggest problems that we're all facing. That's where the value gets unlocked. So I hope you do that. I hope you do that. So what have we talked about in our time journey together? Well, we ended with this packing list. We're gonna collaborate everywhere. You're gonna ask us to do an audit of where else you could activate. Makes a lot of sense. We're gonna think about measuring far more broadly. Just have a conversation with someone at LiveRamp about what we can do to help you help yourself. We're gonna make more and more opportunities available for you to explore AI safely. And if it's not on the list of integration partners, tell us what it is, we'll prioritize those. You are going to use clean rooms and maintain control, because if you share your data too broadly, it's going to be utilized by all your competitors and you will have lost your insight advantage. And you're going to prioritize like a gazillion things you could do, we hope, by just thinking about how do you solve the moments of delight and moments of despair. And here's the good news. Like, I started by saying, hey, AI, it's a little bit nerve-wracking, it's a little bit uncertain. But I think if we follow these 5 things, it's gonna look a lot like those, every single major inflection point in the last 30 years of our industry. We are going to survive this, we're going to prosper, and we are going to find that the future is very glorious. And so I invite you to take one last time jump with me, all right? So everybody ready for this? One last time jump. We're moving collaborative, we're moving farther together, we're moving into the future. Here we go. And there it is. That's the glorious future. I don't know if it looks exactly like that, but here's what I do know. All these people are smiling. So how can it be bad? Have an awesome ramp up, enjoy meeting each other, and enjoy the show. Thank you all.